Hello and welcome to today's webinar, which is on how to ensure seamless global connectivity for your transportation deployment. My name's Jeremy Cowan, and I'm Editorial Director of IoT Now, and it's my pleasure to be your moderator today. Thank you for joining us wherever we find you. Now, connected cars and commercial fleets aren't new, of course, but global transportation providers urgently need to roll out generation 2, or is that 3, extending that connectivity from nice to have infotainment technologies to create the broader, large and reliable revenue streams that analysts have been predicting for years. It's not just new profit streams either. Transport providers see huge operational cost savings that could last the vehicle's entire life cycle. But for this, they obviously need reliable global connectivity. Now, before we get into the details, I want to thank the sponsors of today's webinar, IoT Communications Enablers, BICS, who are providers of simple, low-cost, efficient global connectivity for the Internet of Things. To explain all of this, we have a highly experienced speaker. He is Gaurav Singh, and he is BICS Senior Product Manager for IoT Solutions. It's great to have you here, Gaurav.
Great to be here, Jeremy.
Thank you. And now, as always, this webinar is being recorded. So from tomorrow, you can access the audio and slides via our website at iot-now.com. If you've already sent us a question, thank you. But you can also send me your questions now. So just type them into the question window on your screen, and you'll find that by looking on the black panel. There's a tab saying open sidebar. That will give you access to a questions window where you can type in your questions to Gaurav and me, and I'll put as many of them to Gaurav as time allows at the end. And finally, if you're having any technical issues with audio or slides, you can also use the question window to get advice from our tech support team. Now, before we go over to Gaurav, we really like to know what you think. So here's the first of 2 audience polls. And the question that we're asking at this stage is, what is your biggest obstacle or challenge to integrating IoT to your fleet? And that's in the white panel to the side of your black screen. All you need to do is choose your option, click submit vote, and we will begin to share the results with you. The only way you're going to see the results is if you have a vote of your own. It's completely anonymous and nobody can see what you're saying. So this is totally secure. And already we're starting to see the results leaning towards complex administration. The question was, what is your biggest obstacle or challenge to integrating IoT to your fleet? And it's quite significant that around the 35 to 40% mark are suggesting complex administration. It's fluctuating as more votes come in, but a strong second place is budgetary considerations at around 25, 27%, and a similar percentage for knowledge and understanding, with security threats still showing quite low. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, or perhaps that's something that we haven't addressed enough as an industry. Gaurav, what's your take on the results as they come in?
I think they are quite expected from administration. I think perspective, it's very complex, and knowledge of overall use cases as well as how to handle them is still a little sparse and not available generally. So I think it's quite expected, and I see they are reaching to almost the same point of where the complex administration and knowledge and understanding are almost having the same percentage of
Yeah.
votes.
Yeah, I think that is interesting, and it does indicate that there is a serious need for the knowledge that we're looking to you for now, Gaurav. It's time for us all to learn. Gaurav, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thanks everyone for joining. And let's start our journey together. So, the main question here is how to ensure seamless global connectivity for your transportation deployment. And to go there, I will start with a little about what BICS does and what BICS is today and what we are doing. So BICS is for there some time already. It's already 20 plus years where BICS exists and provide connectivity services for global mobile or data or as well as voice calling capabilities. We are carrying almost the 50% of mobile data traffic worldwide. Uh, a lot of enterprise don't realize, but they use BICS in the backend. When somebody is roaming or going around in the world, BICS carries the traffic. We are number one in signaling in the IPX traffic as well as GRX and LTE. So BICS is trying to bridge the gap between the telecom and the digital world with 1,000+ operators already integrated in our solutions. We have a lot of digital service providers also there. What we did is in last I think 6 or 5 years, we launched a SIM4Things product line where for the IoT solutions, we launched a global solution and where the enterprises can use us to launch a global IoT solution with help of BICS. So that's in summing up BICS in a small introduction. Moving on, I'll more come to the automotive industry and the market landscape. So from where we see there are certain trends which are driving the automotive industry, and the automotive industry is growing with a neck-breaking speed in innovation, and all these trends are contributing, like on-demand features or electrifications, full self-drive functionalities. A lot of luxury segment customers are coming in who are asking for subscription-based services. You have different multi-modal mobility capabilities, which are also being requested by customers. Now, underlying all these different trends is the requirement for connectivity. Where without connectivity, you cannot deliver to these promises or different trends which are happening there. So connectivity binds them all together, and that's where you need a global connectivity partner who can provide you connectivity wherever your device or your automotive actually ends up. So considering these trends, we can move into see what are the different challenges that the industry is facing. Uh, to comply to these kind of trends and to be remain competitive in the market, these are certain challenges that the automotive industry is facing, especially looking into the connectivity and subscription front. You have a lot of challenges coming in from coverage perspective. Now you see that the devices or the cars and different vehicles are going around the world. You manufacture them in one country, you sell them somewhere else, and then they can go around everywhere in the world. You need really reliable coverage, which a cellular global IoT provider can provide, to be really true. You need high bandwidth cases like you have full self-driving capabilities, which really needs a high bandwidth and low latency connectivity to the communication servers back, and a loss of this connectivity could lead into accidents or certain worse situations. So the need of this high bandwidth becomes really critical. Similar situations is about the supply chain. We have seen with the pandemic that the supply chains are having a lot of troubles with centralized or distributed manufacturing. So a lot of this needs to be managed. Things need to be moving from one country to another. and the connectivity needs to move with the overall supply chain process. And all this needs to be managed. So again, coming to the complexity of managing this moving world, we need to cater to this kind of complexities. Now, also a lot of challenges are coming on the customer expectation front. Customers are evolving. They're coming from a very connected world with Apple and Android phones and having connectivity all the time. They want more and more personalized services. Somebody wants their Spotify connection also in the car, or somebody wants on-demand videos or other on-demand services like gaming for the family. And still, they want all this to be done in a very secure, and all the data protection capabilities also around, like the GDPR compliance and everything should also to be around. That is one part of the challenge. Another part of the challenge is coming from totally new dimension, which is quite new for the automotive industry, is the partners, where they are now dealing more and more with different partners, which could be also on the vendor front as well as also on new revenue stream firms, where they can generate or monetize their data, which they are receiving from the car sensors. And from those partners, the expectations are more towards the security of those use cases. If an insurance company is extracting some data information, it needs to be secure. It needs to be easy to be deployed for those partners. And also the revenue share model should be possible without much hassle. So all these challenges are coming in from different aspects of the automotive industry, where they are moving because of the innovation which is happening and all the connectivity which is now possible for the car. Now, looking at all these challenges, what we can do is we can see certain recommendations and recommended areas in which this needs to be addressed on. One of the key addressed area is the life cycle of the device, of the connected device within the car, and how the overall automotive manufacturing happens. So only 14% of the lifetime of this device is spent in production and manufacturing and sales cycle. 86% is spent in the hands of the end consumer. Still, the 14% of the manufacturing can adhere to a lot of cost of this connectivity, as well as production, as well as the whole supply chain management towards the automotive industry. So taking a very basic example, so you produce in, say, the production happens in China, then the test is happening in some other country like Australia, then the distribution happens worldwide, and the supply chain takes it, the cars to worldwide, and the sale happens in US, but the customer at the end drives it into Canada and where he's driving. So you need connectivity from start till the end, and the needs from this connectivity might change, will change for sure, because the need at production time will be different to the need that you will at the test time will be different. And then you need a long period of supply chain where it will be dormant. So to cover these different needs of automotive manufacturing, we need to have a very adaptive connectivity lifecycle, or the SIM card lifecycle, which can adhere to different needs of this overall manufacturing process. So looking towards what BICS has done to kind of cater to this need of manufacturing. The SIM4Things solutions today provide trial SIM cards for our customers who are coming up, who wants to do certain trials with us, so that they can do the designing and prototype wherever they want in those trial forms. Once we go commercial, then the SIM cards kind of emulates the life cycle of the device. We have SIM cards which can really follow on. You can have a test phase, you can have an inventory phase where the device or the SIM card can be dormant for months without accruing any cost to the device manufacturer or the car manufacturer. And once it reaches in the hands of the end user, then it automatically becomes active, which gives a seamless customer experience by avoiding any manual intervention. All this is fully automated from start to the end. So zero touch provisioning is needed there. And it reduces a lot of unnecessary cost, which could be borne from production till it reaches the end user, where there is no revenue generation. And it helps to reduce all that cost, and the cost can only start to come when actual revenue is generated from the end user. This gives a lot of possibility to the automotive industry, that you can manufacture wherever you want, you can test wherever you want globally, and sell wherever you need, without a customer experience which is not optimal. So this is covering on the device lifecycle management part of manufacturing. Now, from manufacturing, the next challenge comes is for the vehicle retailers who have a plethora of different cars or different automotive vehicles. And these needs of these vehicles from connectivity perspective could be very different. You look at a full self-drive autonomous vehicle, the connectivity needs are very different from the connectivity needs of a luxury and electric car or electric cars. And then you can go towards the real old mid-segment cars, which are there for last 10 years already. They also need certain connectivity for certain use cases. And then we can have a totally different segment of trucks and buses with fleets going around, and then a construction and agriculture industry, which is needs of a different kind of automotive vehicles working in fields or in remote areas or under the buildings, where they need a very different kind of connectivity and different use cases which they need to cater to. Now, looking at autonomous vehicles or the full self-drive vehicles, a very high bandwidth or in need of smart assistance or OTA-based firmware upgrades is a kind of a must-have. But that's a very different need of connectivity from luxury and electric car segment, where you need to find a charging network, or you need personalization, or you need in-vehicle shopping and those kind of trunk delivery or custom ads. A lot of different use cases which can be catered to. Similarly, we have other segments like the trucks and buses, where you need to do the fleet management, or driver health and safety scores. So all these needs to be catered by one vehicle retailer, still managing all of them in an easy way. This adds a lot of complexity in handling the overall diversity. And to propose a particular solution, what BICS has here. So for the SimForthings solution, what do we have as a functionality? The management platform, what we call it as a reseller account. The vehicle retailer can have a reseller account, and each of this different need of connectivity can be segmented into a kind of hierarchy of accounts below that reseller account. And we provide the flexibility from the platform perspective to manage each of these individual customer accounts in a different way. So there could be a different way, different kind of SIM cards which can be allocated. There can be a different dedicated need of APNs or VPNs which can be associated with each account, or there could be a prepaid, postpaid need, different rating charging needs, different real-time monitoring needs, or different KPIs that need to be monitored. All that can be managed and done from one reseller account, which is managed by the vehicle retailer from one platform, which reduces the complexity of administration. And that's, I think, was the key challenge which was identified by the poll in the start, the complexity of administration. And this functionality especially reduces that. From one account, you can manage everything, both by platform as well as by APIs. So That is one aspect of it. Another aspect and another front where we see challenges and where we see some solutions is on the generation of new revenue streams. I think that's one of the most interesting aspects of the connectivity towards the automotive industry, that with this connectivity now comes the opportunity to monetize on the in-vehicle data. We have hundreds of sensors now placed in the car, from different infrared to LiDAR to cameras to different odometers. Everything is now being recorded by those sensors, and a huge amount of data is being sent back from the sensors using the connectivity to the data center of the vehicle manufacturer or the vehicle retailer. Now, all this data which is being generated can be monetized in a lot of use cases. One of a few of the most important or popular use cases are listed here. I could say, especially with the infotainment advertising with luxury cars, you can have video on demand, you can have location-based content, you can have a marketplace where your partners can advertise location-based content, and the consumer can use it and buy it and pay for it. You can have tracking services for high value asset tracking, where you can share the location directly with the partner, and the partner who is doing this high value asset tracking can track the vehicle and can provide additional revenue towards the car or the automotive manufacturer. Insurance partnerships, they're quite popular already on the use cases of usage-based insurance or driving style-based insurance. So you can do certain ratings on the style of which the driver is, and based on that make certain specialized offers. And you, as an automotive or a car manufacturer, you can provide this data, the fine-tuned data, to your insurance partner and generate new revenue stream for you, so that the insurance company can make a very good offer and reduce its risk. A lot of features on demand which can generate subscription-based revenue, like we saw in full self-driving case in Tesla, which is generating a lot of subscription revenue, or personalized car heating, geofencing, remote locking. A lot of those features can on demand generate additional revenue for the car manufacturers, car retailers. Another aspect is on the local governments, where use cases like automated pothole detection, accident notifications, managing the traffic flow, or even smart city with a lot of smart infrastructure, which is communicating with the car. So all the V2X based communication can be facilitated, and all this can generate additional revenue for the car manufacturers. Now, the main challenge which come for this new revenue generation is how to segregate the data which is needed by the car manufacturer and which is needed by the partner, and how can this data be in a secure way be transferred to the partner, where he can use this data to build his use case and provide that additional revenue to the car manufacturer. So considering that, BICS for Things has a solution already tailor-made for this kind of capabilities. We provide the connectivity to connect the car to SIM4Things solution, and provide multi-APN based solution where each data stream can be tagged with a different APN, and that based on that APN we can route the data directly to the partner data centers in a secure way based on the VPN, or if you need IPX connectivity, or even to the public internet. So if Facebook services, on-demand video services, Netflix, all can be reached securely without opening up the other stream of data which is coming from sensors, the telematics data, without creating a security threat for that kind of data, because that's very critical for the car functionality. So BICS SIM4Things can provide a secure way where the traffic or the data traffic coming in from all those sensors can be routed, to your partners without hampering the security of overall end-to-end chain of data. So that is what BICS InfoThings can do to maintain your revenue streams in a secure way. Considering this overall offering which BICS InfoThings does, let's see that. So what is the overall proposal for automotive manufacturers from BICS InfoThings? Uh, what we can provide is one SIM card with one platform and one partner. You have a total global connectivity with only one partner which can provide you throughout the world with one SIM card and one platform to manage everything you need from your connectivity for your partners for billing, rating, charging in all the different scenarios. We can easily provide you a global deployment with even if you have a very complex life cycle of manufacturing in different countries, supply chain, and then selling in any of the country in the world. We can provide an automated managed SIM life cycle across the countries and regions. Advanced functionalities like splitting the in-car services with different splitting of billing, reporting, and management is already inbuilt in the platform. We have a very highly flexible business model with the reseller model, as explained, which can help you to manage the complexity of administration of all this different kind of devices or different kind of automotive cars or trucks or different fleets that you have. We provide a very highly secure infrastructure end to end. We have 70 POPs throughout the world where we can connect you and provide you a VPN or IPX direct connectivity, which can be secure end to end. And we provide a global MVNO, MVNE infrastructures to have a very high speed and low latency connectivity throughout the world. So that's all from my side, Jeremy.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for explaining so much in such a short space of time, Gaurav. Before we go to questions, and there's still a chance for people to put questions to Gaurav if you want to, we have our second poll. So let's go to that now. We're looking for your thoughts and your answers on this question. On the right-hand panel under polls, you'll see out of the recommendations discussed, which one do you think is the most important? Is it global connectivity? Is it a seamless device lifecycle? Are you looking for the right tools, a secure ecosystem, or do you think all of the above are equally important? So out of the recommendations that Gaurav has just discussed, which one do you think is the most important? And I'm looking to see your answers coming in now. We've got a parallel actually between global connectivity and all of the above. I think that's really interesting because we all know that these are all areas of importance. It's great to see that that's recognized, but there's no doubt about it that global connectivity is coming through as one of the greatest concerns and something that people need to know more about. Gaurav, was this what you expected?
Yeah, I think it is what I expected. I think all of the above is a very well made choice because I don't think each one of this individually can really deliver you a seamless end-to-end experience. I think it's a well-built combination of all these four different recommendations, which can give you a good solution, and that's why what BICS brings in the SIM4Things solution is to cover all these four aspects of not just one, but provide the global connectivity with our 1,000 plus MVNOs or MNOs connectivity, as well as the device lifecycle and the right tools to administer the complexity, as well as the security, which is sometimes most left out and people don't think of it. So I think it's quite expected result from what I was seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, and it shows, I think, that how much this market is maturing as people are realizing what the range of possibilities, but what the range of challenges are as well. Um, Gaurav, let's move to the questions from the audience. Thank you for the questions you've sent in already. Keep them coming. There's still plenty of time to be asking, and what we're looking for is to get a flavor of what your concerns are. The first one I want to put to you, Gaurav, is back to coverage. The questioner asks, how can we ensure that the coverage is global for an IoT deployment?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. That's a key challenge for a global IoT deployment is to have the global coverage. I think it's the answer is towards looking to the right partner, and that's the biggest challenge because if you try to build that coverage yourself, you have to do partnerships throughout the world, which is kind of impossible to do these days today. I think the key to the solution is to find the right partner who really has the global coverage, who has the experience, who has the connections to make from day one your solution global and provide you connectivity with not just one network, because that's also a challenge. To have only one network in each country, you
Yeah,
need a partner who can provide you multiple networks so that you can have real good coverage. Especially if you look towards Africa, you sometimes need three or four networks in one country to achieve the coverage which you need for your use cases. So you need to find the right global connectivity partner and which can provide you the real global connectivity with multiple networks in most of, I would say, all of the countries you need.
yeah. Gaurav, that brings me neatly to the next question, which was the questioner is obviously concerned about ensuring that their fleet is connected and ready straight out of the dealer without any configuration. I know you've touched on that a bit, but how would you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so how I would elaborate a little bit there is to say if you have the right solution which can manage in automated way from the start where the device manufacturing happens to the fleet going out from the production line and going world. If you have the right solution in the backing, then I think that is the only way to make it really seamless for the fleet or somebody who is driving the fleet to have a very good experience. The SIM card or on the device needs to manage all this in an automated way because manual interventions are first of all very expensive, as well as doesn't lead to a very good experience on the user side because he needs to first register that okay he's going to start a new device or a new vehicle, and then only the services will start. So to make it really seamless, you need to have a SIM card who can detect and automate, and a platform who can trigger all this in a zero touch provisioning sense, where this can be really seamless for your fleet once it is going out of the production line.
There's a very succinct question here, Gaurav, from Peter, who puts it this way: permanent roaming. Can BICS guarantee this worldwide? Obviously, there are challenges in certain territories, and I just wondered what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I think it's a big challenge, and it's not just a static challenge. It keeps on evolving and changing. Certain countries have a permanent roaming restriction by the regulators. Certain countries have by operators who are trying to put a permanent roaming restrictions based on their own business needs. So BICS covers almost all of the world, and in certain countries where there are challenges, we have always solutions. Like we partner with certain local MNOs so that we have a multi-IMSI solution, and we can use a local IMSI. I can take an example like in Brazil, where there is a permanent roaming regulation and you cannot roam there in permanent. We have a partner in Brazil, where we use their local IMSI in our solution, where the SIM card will automatically switch to a local MZ if there is a permanent roaming regulation required, and then the permanent roaming is not a problem. So it's all about having the right connections, right partners, and a right multi-MZ solution in place, and a platform which can do the automated job to use the right MZ in the right country. That makes permanent roaming basically possible.
Gaurav, one of our viewers today, Rajneesh, is asking something that's looking not just down the line, but actually this is really increasingly topical. Can we have satellite connectivity? Does system hardware allow this? And where there is no coverage for BICS SIM?
Yeah, at the moment, BICS SIM for Things doesn't deal into the satellite connectivity part, but what we have seen with our certain solutions that the device which is being used have multiple connectivity possibilities. So they do have a SIM card based the connectivity with 2G, 3G, 4G, or LTM, NB-IoT, or 5G even, and they have certain backup capabilities like satellite communication possibilities or other local communication possibilities also available within the device. So what we focus on is to provide you a SIM card for the device where it can connect to the 2G, 3G, 4G, and the GSM based connectivity providing, but the device can still have capabilities for other backup solutions.
That kind of dovetails neatly with the next question, which is about other solutions and other connectivity options. The question is saying, at what point in the IoT project should we start thinking about connectivity options and security?
Yeah, I think from my experience in an IoT project, I think the first question arises always is about will the device stick to one place, or the device will be roaming around international borders and crossing around? So do you really need a global IoT project, or it's a local IoT project?
Yeah.
If it's a global one, definitely you need a roaming or you need a connectivity throughout the borders. And if you see, there is cellular IoT is the only today really global connectivity which is possible. There are other options which are there, Sigfox and others, but they are really not global. Global is, if you see, reality is just the cellular connectivity, which can go to a lot of remote places and it still will keep on working. So you really need to think, as at the moment you know that this will be a global deployment, the devices will go around. You need to think of connectivity at that point. If it really needs to be global, then you need to think of the cellular IoT connectivity.
Okay, there's some great questions here, and do keep them coming. We've still got time for more. The last one that I wanted to come to at this stage was, do multi-IMSI solutions matter if carriers don't allow profile swaps?
Yes, I think they still matter. Profile swap is one aspect of it. Profile swap is one way of avoiding permanent roaming when it is not regulated.
Yeah.
But the another way is about having multiple local sponsors. So you can have sponsors where you can use different network IMSIs altogether rather than just swapping from one to another. So you might need, like I gave an example of Brazil, you might need a local MZ in Brazil, and then you don't need to swipe. But it's all about having the right relationships and right contracts with the local partners in that country.
This is not unrelated to that. The question is saying, how and when do you see the separation of physical SIM and carriers? Crystal ball time, Gaurav. Do you think that's something that you're in a position to answer?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
How and when do you see the separation of the physical SIM and the carrier?
Okay. So I don't see a real separation there, to be really true, because if I'm talking about a multi-IMSI solution, it really is embedded in the SIM card, the applet, which does the whole magic of which country, which IMSI, what priority, and all the switching between those IMSIs. The magic is done within the SIM card most of the time, which is within the applet. So you can not really separate it from the person or the platform which is providing the capabilities and the SIM card from it. It's quite interlinked, I would say.
Okay, we've still got a little bit of time for more questions. Questioner here says, what are the options available for detecting irregular usage behaviors in real time? Obviously, security is such an important topic. What's your thought on that, Gaurav?
Yeah, so there are quite a few different options which are available. So the connectivity, GSM connectivity, I would say, based on the specification, generates certain events. So once the SIM card connects and disconnects, there are certain events which are generated on the protocol levels, which are kind of managed at the platforms which is managing the connectivity. So if I say SIM4Things platform, we receive all those events whenever a SIM card connects, disconnects, or try to connect with a data request or try to update the data request. All those events are captured by the platform, and all those events can be transferred as a stream of data in a data stream to the application server of the IoT provider who is providing these IoT services. Could be in AWS, could be in any data center. And there, based on these events, you can build your use case. So if your use case is that if my device loses connectivity, I need to do something about it, you can receive this in real time, this event of this connectivity loss in your data center, and you can react on that. You can build your use case. One of the use cases I can say is for the security agency. If a particular expensive cargo lands in a certain country, as soon as the device connects to us, we immediately notify them that, yeah, device is in this country. They know when to dispatch security services, inform the police, or whoever is tracking that. They can make that use case over that connectivity event, which we can transfer in real time to their data with a data stream to their data center, and based on that.
Yeah. Again, you've touched on this already, but the questioner asks, how can we be updated with IoT security vulnerabilities and updates? What more would you say on that? I know that you've already touched on it, but is there more that you would add?
Yeah, so the IoT security at the moment is quite a broad term, I would say, because the security aspect is starting from the device itself, which can be hacked, to the SIM card, to the connectivity, and frauds which can happen at the connectivity level or the device level. How it can be secured is the data which is being shared from the device to the data center. I think that's the most vulnerable part because it's traveling through the World Wide Web and going to the data center. And that's where the most of the hacks that can happen. What BICS SIM4Things provide to cover that is to have an end-to-end secure network, especially in the GSM network. The data can really be carried in private networks rather than going on the World Wide Web. So the private networks can carry through the data till the data center in a secured and encrypted way. So that covers the security aspect from data security, though there are still other aspects on the device security, which is a little bit outside because devices can be directly physically hacked, which we cannot control on our side. So that's another aspect of the security which needs to be taken care of.
Okay, there's a detailed question here which probably isn't appropriate for this particular moment, but I'm going to just read it out so that people are aware that you could perhaps pass this information to them indirectly afterwards. The question wants to know a list of integrators in EMEA, Europe, Middle East and Africa, please. Let's not talk about that in detail now because that'll take up the rest of the time, but perhaps I could ask you to respond to the questioner offline afterwards. There's a really good question. Well, there's two questions that are asking very similar things. One questioner asks how to bring down the cost of IoT services, and another one asks how do we increase the uptake of IoT by the transport industry. He says especially in South Africa, but I mean the principles still apply worldwide. So, Gaurav, how do you see the uptake of IoT by the transport industry being increased?
Yeah, I think that the biggest obstacle I see is definitely the cost part. So I think as more and more NB-IoT and LTEM and these kind of low-powered WAN devices and networks become available, the cost of the device itself as well as the connectivity cost which it bears can go down quite extensively. Looking at 5G, which would be quite expensive for especially the transportation industry, depending on the needs of the device. If it's just about tracking or about other small telematics, they don't need that high bandwidth on data. They don't need that high requirement of low latency. And reducing the cost on the device side can and easy administration and a known cost of overall managing end to end could definitely increase the usage and could definitely increase the more proliferation of these kind of services in the transportation industry.
Thank you. That's very comprehensive. The next questioner asks, how would an IP as a service offering 1,000+ applications on its platform create delightful customer experience? Beautifully put. There's more than one definition of IPaaS. I'm taking that to mean IoT platform as a service. Is that how you read that, Gaurav?
Yeah, I read it the same. So IoT platform as a service. So I think the key here is to have a local experience, though you can provide a global service. Uh, the main aspect is your customers can be worldwide. We can have a customer from Australia who's trying to access the service platform, or another one from US doing at the same time, sitting in different time zones, sitting in different areas of the world. The main challenge is to provide them the same experience, irrespective of from where they are trying to access. They need to have the same experience. Their devices need to have the same kind of latency and lower bandwidth. And that's where BICS excels, because we have a 70 point of presences throughout the world. So we can really provide a local breakout and local experience with latency as well as bandwidth with local MZs there. And this gives us the capability to provide the same service, same user experience to a customer in US, to a customer in Australia. And that's how I think is the best way to deal with global Internet of Things platform as a service solution.
Thank you. We've probably got time for a couple more questions, and then we're going to have to wrap up. But the questioner here is from the cold chain solutions sector. He or she, I can't tell at the moment, is shipping wine, and they're asking, can cellular compete on price with offline, citing Bluetooth and USB, or with LoRaWAN and Sigfox, which you've also referenced already? Can cellular compete on price in the wine, but it could be other things, cold chain shipments?
Cellular depends on the use case, because in some cases where there is local connectivity available, and I don't know exactly in case of wine, but I know in similar cases where high value asset of paintings are being transported from one place to another. Uh, you can have gaps where the connectivity is not maintained, but too long gaps can create problems. So yes, cost could be one aspect to it, but another aspect is to have more connectivity possible and more updates possible during the chain. So the low powered capabilities which are coming more and more, the LTM or the NB-IoT especially, the cost is reducing to a level where we think it can compete with these kind of capabilities and providing more use cases, more possibilities of having much more connectivity than Sigfox or LoRa, because those are really local connectivities and they cannot be really global. So you will have a lot of disconnected time, whereas with NB-IoT you can be much more connected with quite similar cost.
That's really helpful. Comprehensive answer for that one. I'm just going to ask you to look further down the road, if you'll pardon the pun. What are the testing pains for 5G connectivity? This is the last question we've got time for today. But put your sort of thinking hat on for what's coming as well as what's here now. What are the testing pains for 5G?
Yeah, I think the biggest testing pain I see with my personal experience and with the customers that we are working with to put 5G IoT in place is the device cost. At the moment, the modems or GSM modems for 5G cost around $100. Good ones, and that's the biggest problem. So if you have just the modem cost of $80 to $100, your device cost becomes easily $250, which is not a good cost for having millions of devices out there. If you want to put millions out there, that's not a good cost point. Whereas an NB-IoT could cost like just few dollars, a few $4 to $5 maybe. And that's where 5G is competing. You really need to have a very high bandwidth use case with a very high revenue coming in to cover up the cost that you will pay to have a 5G modem in the IoT device. So that's the biggest challenge, I would say.
That's very fair. Well, Gaurav, that's been fantastic. As I said at the start, I mean, today's aim has been to try and learn how to ensure seamless global connectivity for your transportation deployment. There's clearly a lot more to discuss and it's changing all the time, but we'll have to save that for another day because I'm afraid we are out of time. Please remember to bookmark our site at iot-now.com, because there you're going to find the latest news plus videos, blogs, events, podcasts, interviews. I could go on. There's loads on there. And starting from tomorrow, you can stream this webinar from the site. So it just remains for me to say a very big thank you to our speaker, Gaurav Singh from BICS. Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Jeremy.
It's been a pleasure to have you, and thank you for taking everything that all of our audience has thrown at you. Lots of different questions. It's been great. So most of all, ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful to you for joining us around the world. We really appreciate the time you spent with us. From everyone here at IoT Now, keep safe and bye for now.